Raideo.
We love jazz music here at the Raideo podcast.
That's how I met. That's how I knew I liked Turpin.
Wow.
We were at a
Staff
that?
meeting.
Staff social. Was that at the beginning?
Beginning of my first year, you were wearing a Star Wars t-shirt, and I said, "I think this guy's my people."
Mm-hmm.
And then you mentioned that your kids were named Miles and Ella, and I said, "I think I might have said Miles Davis and Ella Fitzgerald," and you're like, "Yeah, that's exactly it." I'm like, "Shut the front door."
Mm-hmm.
It's like I feel like that kind of checks.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah.
So how's it going, Sarah?
It's going good. We're almost done.
You're relieved?
Kind of. I'm going into a very busy summer, so it's a bit of a mix.
Tell us what a busy summer looks like for you.
So for me, it's full-time work again. I'll be in the kitchen. Though this year I'm the only prep cook
At
Camp Furcombe. I work at an off-grid summer camp on Gambier Island, so just above Bowen Island in the Howe Sound. And I'm going back for my 4th year as a staff.
this is your chance to plug it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Camp Furcombe. At Camp Furcombe, we're a sustainable-based summer camp, and we host camps from 8 to, I want to say, 17 years old. We also hold any corporate retreats, we also host weddings, and you can rent out our cabins in the wintertime for your family.
When you say off-grid,
Yeah.
how off-grid?
We make our own water, we filter our own water.
You make your own water.
Yeah, we're just becoming...
That is off grid.
We take 2
Yeah.
hydrogen molecules and we blend it with 1 oxygen molecule.
Hilarious.
Yeah. We filter our own water from well, and we power our own electricity grid.
How?
So our electricity, I'll start with that because I know a bit more about that. Half of it is solar, and we still rely on diesel in the wintertime.
Mm-hmm.
And then we recently just got lithium batteries instead of the old batteries. So apparently that's a big deal. It means that they're not we're able to bring them all the way down to low before the generator runs with the diesel and or takes from the solar backup. So that's a really big deal to us now. We're saving a lot of money with that.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
What about things like Wi-Fi?
Our Wi-Fi, I believe it's through Starlink, unfortunately.
Starlink.
Yeah. It's great. It works. We have full Wi-Fi in the main areas of site.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of the staff cabins up in the woods, there's no Wi-Fi, but as long as you're close to the dining hall or the office.
What is the policy with Wi-Fi?
For kids, for campers.
Sometimes some camps want you to turn it all off.
Yeah,
and
be
just enjoy
off
the outdoors,
grid,
right?
Yeah.
So our camp, the policy is with campers is no cell phones or electronic devices when coming to camp. If the child will require it just for purposes of, I listen to music before bed and whatnot, then we work that out with the parents beforehand with our camper care coordinator.
Have you had any issues with that?
No.
Like we have in schools?
No, I haven't. I've been working mostly with the 8 through 10-year-olds. So they might bring a smartwatch and be like, "Oh, look at my smartwatch." And then we're like, "That's fine," because all it really does is just it's a screen with the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. I've told my children they're not having a cell phone until they're 13.
Yeah.
I might go beyond 13 with Ella.
Bless you.
I'm going to try because,
wow.
The longer we can hold off on that, I think, the more other things they find that they can do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. Anyway.
No, totally.
Yeah.
So you're a prep cook.
I'm a prep cook. So we feed up to 200 people a day in the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We do it cafeteria style where out front we'll have tables of salads, and in the morning it's a cereal bar. And then during meal service, it's cafeteria style, yeah. So they take their plate, and then we're like, "What do you want?" And then they're like, "I want this," or "I'm allergic to this," and then we give them their food.
You scoop it out.
Yeah,
You're
it out.
the lunch lady.
I'm the lunch lady.
Lunch
It's
lady
great.
Sarah.
Yeah.
Do you have to wear a hairnet?
No, I don't.
Oh, no, that's too bad. When you imagine those lunch ladies from television programs about high school students in the United States, and you're like, "There's lunch lady Doris," and "This beef is grade F." It's thanks, lunch lady Doris. And that's what she sounds like because she smokes so heavily.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm
Or
picturing.
like Chef from South Park. Delicious food, children.
So you're going to your 4th year.
My 4th year.
And this is full-time work for the summer?
Yeah, full-time work
Do you
for the
live
summer.
on the island?
Yeah, I live on the island while I'm up there.
What are your living arrangements like?
So this year I'm in what we call a spirit cabin. I'm in the one called Ewok. So I know it's great.
Ewoks?
Yeah.
Yub jub.
Lub dub. Lub nub.
Yub nub.
Yub dum.
Yub nub.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay. I'm in the one called Ewok, and there's like an upstairs and a downstairs. No electricity, no insulation. It's like a box in the woods with new windows. And I don't know, it's nice. I'm really close to Jubilee
That's what
Hall.
you get?
Yeah. But I have a double mattress this year. Like I have a double bed.
Wait, it's literally a wooden box
Yes.
in the forest.
With like nice shelves and windows, and I have a wraparound porch. But yeah,
But there's no insulation.
there's no insulation, no electricity. So this is only my summer arrangement.
Summer arrangement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does
Okay.
it get too hot?
Quite often, yes, in the upstairs, but
Yeah.
there's an openable window up there, and we keep the windows open downstairs during the day.
You're with other people in this box.
Excuse me. Yes, I'll be with one other girl. She's coming up as our sous chef.
How big is this box?
It's like
How many, there's different rooms?
there's one room downstairs, like one large room, and then
Okay.
there's like an attic upstairs.
Oh,
So
I
you
guess
can't
we could-
stand upstairs, but
We can stop calling it a box then.
So in this Ewok hut, there are 2 beds.
there are 2 beds, one downstairs, one upstairs. And it's a sketchy ladder, but I was upstairs for the last 3 years, so I'm kind of really happy to be getting to the downstairs. It's like a privilege.
It's not in the trees, it's on the ground.
It's on the ground.
It's on the ground.
It's on the ground. It's not like
Because
in the trees.
Ewoks are in the trees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're meant to be in the trees.
Okay.
Though we are like perched up on a cliff, kind of. So when I look out my front door, I look down towards our main hall. Like there's a path, and then I can just kind of barely see the laundry room.
So do you stay on the island for the entire summer? Or do you come home for weekends or like what's...
It really just depends on what I have to do. I try to avoid coming back and forth. I only get 2 water taxi, like 2 round trips off the island a month covered by the company. So I'll usually use those to like come back for doctor's appointments or if like Nana and Papa need anything. So it's
Does room and board come out of your
No.
salary? So you're basically just banking.
I'm really just banking, yeah.
Nice.
So you have no living expenses while you're over there.
No.
And then you get your salary or your wage or whatever
Yeah.
they call it. Yes. Well, this sounds like a really wonderful arrangement,
Yeah, if you like camping.
which I don't.
But you've never tried it, so
Yeah, that's true. And it's
can't-
more
can't say that. It's like eating food and somebody serves you something and you're like, I don't like it. How do you know? You've never tried it.
Yeah.
Have a taste.
So
Maybe this summer, Turpin, we should go camping.
now there is a camping trip on the calendar for this summer, but it's the same campsite that they went to last year. And I went up for the day. I did a day trip to Cultus Lake to be with the family at the campsite. And I don't know who listens to this podcast. And I don't want to sound insulting. And this might be one of those things that you have to edit out. But when I went there and I spent the day, it looked and felt like what I imagine a refugee camp to look like.
There were tents.
And motorhomes and trailers and everybody, like it was all...
Did you stay overnight?
Goodness, no. No, I went up for
Then
the
you
day.
didn't camp.
yeah.
No, of course not. Because I went up there and I saw what the conditions were like. And I said, I am within driving distance of my bed. Why would I sleep here?
Because it's fun.
It's fun. You can like see the different people having campfires around you.
No,
and
no,
there's,
no,
like,
no, no, no.
You can sit by the campfire,
Yeah.
fall asleep,
No, no, I'm
have
good.
fudgies.
marshmallows,
No.
s'mores,
I can have s'mores at home.
That's so sad.
pick
there's
up
like-
ants and chuck them into the fire.
I subscribe to the Jim Gaffigan theory. Like he doesn't like camping either, but his wife does. And she's like, come on, camping is a tradition in my family. He's like, it was a tradition in everyone's family until we built houses. Like, why do I want to leave my house? I have a perfectly good house.
I think you just have to try it once.
Yeah. I think you'd enjoy
Even
it.
my wife, who's not a camper, never camped before, one day she just looked at him. I don't know what she looked at, but she said, let's go camping for 10 days in Utah. And I said, what? You've never camped before. Why are we? So we didn't even have a tent. So she said, let's get a tent and go camping for 10 days. And I said, okay. Did all the Utah parks. It was so much fun. the kids loved it. They still talk about it. So
It's definitely like a trip of the lifetime there.
yeah. And we would go for hikes and then come back to the campsite, cook food. And I mean, you just sleep in your tent. And the nice thing about the desert is it's pretty much dry and it's warm.
Yeah, but what about all the critters that live there? A lot of them can kill
critters. No critters near the campsite.
No.
We just saw maybe there's like a stink bug or something, but it didn't go in our tent.
But you're in the desert. There's like lizards and snakes.
Well, the hikes were cool because I remember this one hike we were hiking and there was a dried out creek and we were hiking along the creek and there's like eroded sandstone and these formations, and then we were hiking through that and then we saw a snake kind of slithering through some of the crevices, and our kids were excited, and it was I know I'm not selling this to you.
I would have screamed, wet myself, and passed out.
But I thought it was cool.
Yes. Well, I like to keep my relationship with nature at arm's reach. I love nature, and I like to spend time in nature, and then go home.
Wow. So, what kind of fun camps have you done, Sarah, in your lifetime?
I've done a few backpacking trips, in and across the island. It's fun.
How long at a time?
Only about 2 nights at a time, just because of like the way my work schedule works. I'll often like pair up with a bunch of people, and then we'll go either over to the Halkett Bay Provincial Park, which we touch the park border with. So that's only like a 45-minute walk, barely a hike. We'll go there the most often because we can also kayak or canoe back and forth. And we'll often do that. So I've gone there for like 4 nights, but it's still close enough to camp that if something happens. But there was another time I went up Mount Artaban, which sits right behind us. And we spent 2 nights up there. And it was like I want to say 7 hours up and then 7 hours back down, just because we were traveling with like kiddos as well. So
Isn't there also a Camp Artaban?
There is. There's a Camp Artaban. They're in
it's your competition.
Yeah, totally competition. Not really. They're in I forget the name of the bay, but they're right beside Sea Ranch, like a kind of housing association, but for cabins. I haven't been over there myself personally. I do want to go see it. I've heard that it's a beautiful camp, and I know a lot of I've met a lot of their staff. So
yeah, my daughter's gone there a couple of times.
Yeah.
Is that where she went with her grade 7 retreat?
Unfortunately.
Yes, and everybody got sick from some virus. Who knows from what? Yeah.
That was Camp Artaban?
Yeah.
That was. Well, I wouldn't blame the camp. It could have been one of the kids who brought a virus to the rest of the... And turned out it wasn't food poisoning because it's very little chance that it could be food poisoning. It's more that...
No, it was foodborne. Yeah, somebody spread it and then it
Yeah.
got transferred to the food, and then...
That's really upsetting.
So who knows?
Did they like shut Camp Artaban down and like fumigate it? And...
No.
It was just the class that got shut down. Like when they got back to school, a couple of classrooms full of kids were like half of them were sick. Yeah.
So you go up into the mountains or out when you're not working.
Yeah.
But what does a normal workday look like? You prepare 3 meals, but then what else do you do?
Like in a work day.
Yeah.
I'll help out with dietary requests. So we have a lot of people who are vegetarian, vegan, or like dairy free, or like they have other dietary needs that we have to match our meals to. I'll often be finding recipes for those, whether or not it be baking them or like cooking new types of pasta. We have a lot of people who come up who are gluten free, so we've gotten pretty good.
So right now, all of your activities are food based.
Right now, yeah, they're all food based. I'll be spending I want to say a week worth of days in the garden this summer, just because I like it over there, and since they know that, and on days when I need my hours,
like gardening.
Yeah, gardening. Okay. So we have an educational garden. It is we grow like tomatoes and kale and rhubarb and all that.
So do you use that in your cooking as well? Like, is it a sustenance garden?
It used to be, not so much anymore. We're still getting back on our feet. We had a few rough gardeners on the way to where we are now. So this year I'm really hopeful. I'm really looking forward to it. We usually use nasturtiums. They're edible flowers that kind of taste like radish in our in our salads for the weddings. So we'll grow a bunch of those and save them.
So what does, and please know that this doesn't come from a place of judgment. This is just curiosity. What does working at Camp Furcombe, like where does that put you in terms of career, like life goals?
It definitely, I don't want to continue in a kitchen.
Yeah.
I have made that very like known to myself. It's not for me. I love the place and I love working in a summer camp kitchen because it's like, I'm still interacting with kids, but I'm like, still have my own time, and it's the same thing almost every day where you fall into a routine, but it becomes like mind numbing almost after a while. I have to like, usually I'll learn like a new instrument over the summer, or I'll learn like a new way of crocheting or something like that over the summer in order to keep myself occupied.
Where does this love of the outdoors come from? Because when I think of you, I think of the outdoors and photography, and we'll get into that. But like camping and hiking and that kind of stuff.
I'm honestly not sure. I've always kind of had a drive to go camping ever since when I was really little. I was in Sparks. So that's like mini Girl Guides. And then I went into...
Mini Girl Guides?
If I'm not mistaken,
Sparks, like beavers?
Sparks is like the beavers.
Beavers honor. I was a beaver.
Wow.
When I was like 5.
Yeah, so was I. I think everybody was.
Really?
I feel like that's
like a pretty
another
standard
thing we have in common.
That's like the Lord Baden-Powell requirement of being a Canadian citizen is you have to.
Not everybody was a beaver.
No, that's true.
It was cool.
Did you ever go up to Cubs?
I still have my uniform.
No, you don't.
It's a tiny uniform. Yeah, I do.
That's
it's hanging in my closet.
Oh my goodness.
It's cool. It was a cool uniform with a little, has a little clip for the
scarf.
What is it? Scarf.
Necktie.
Yeah, but do you know what the clip is called? Come on. It's a fun word.
Beaver teeth?
No, it's called a woggle.
A woggle?
Yeah, look that up.
Really?
The little yellow leather piece with the snap.
Yes,
yeah, it's
with
called
a beaver
woggle.
on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a fun word.
There you go.
Yeah. But then I don't know how that led to me wanting to camp. But then I went into Girl Guides because I was like...
You didn't do camping in Sparks?
We didn't do camping in Sparks because we're like 5. Okay, we're running around. We're all like, imagine trying to bring 5-year-olds camping.
Way too much capture the flag
to
do to go camping.
Yeah.
And then I went with my mom and dad for a while, and then I was back at my grandparents' house, and I started guides because my grandma was like, okay, well, we want to put you into something. So Girl Guiding it was, which is like I want to say like 3rd to like 5th grader equivalent of Sparks. And there we did like 2 camping trips that whole year, and I was so upset about it because I thought we were going to go camping a bunch like Scouts. Scouts is better. I'm gonna pull that out there. I've heard from multiple Girl Guides that have switched. It's better.
That's for all you Lord Baden-Powell junkies out there.
I do love that trail though. Oh, but where the love of
Scouts is different from
Girl Guides.
Girl Guides. Is Scout like
they're like 2
Scouts
different
is
organizations. Co-ed? Yeah, Scouts is co-ed.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I was.
And
like,
they don't sell cookies.
No, they don't.
Well, you see, Girl Guides has those cookies.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm interested. That's why I want to put my kids into that.
Maybe you should go to Girl Guides.
Yeah.
I got kids.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of cookies in my future.
You're supposed to sell the cookies, not buy them all for yourself. But, I mean, it works.
As long as they get the money and I get the cookies, it's all good.
That's true. Have you seen the American Girl Guide cookies?
So many flavors.
They're crazy.
Way better. Sometimes my cousins in California will announce that, Girl Guide cookies for sale, and I'll order them, and they'll, if they ever visit, they bring them over.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
They do that in Despicable Me too. Remember?
Really?
No.
In Despicable Me, the girls they sell the cookies to what's his name? Oh yeah.
I don't remember.
Oh man. Jason Segel did the voice. What's his name? He wears orange pajamas. It doesn't matter.
Okay, that guy.
Oh, that guy. Okay.
He's got the live shark, and he goes, "Oh yeah."
So you joined Scouts, and you like it. You liked it better because
I never joined Scouts.
You never joined Scouts?
I've never joined Scouts.
But people said it was better.
Yeah, people have said it's better. And I stand by that.
How can you stand by that? You never joined it.
It's because it's just
you trust those people.
I trust these people.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went straight from Girl Guides, and then I was like, that summer, I did not want to go back to Girl Guides the following year. I was just not having it.
Did Girl Guides go camping?
No. We barely went camping. We went camping once, and it was really disappointing. And I just like set myself up for higher for higher camping ability. So then that summer, my grandma signed me up for Camp Firkham. So this was the summer after 3rd grade. And so my mom and her went there in the 70s for Mom and Kids. We still run Mom and Kids today. So she was like, oh, I know
it goes
a place.
back to the 70s. Hey?
Yeah. So Camp Firkham has been open since 1923.
Wow.
Yeah. We've been an operating campsite since then. It was originally for women and children on the downtown east side.
Really?
For like a place for them to go.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, this is really cool.
That's interesting, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of our buildings, there's people staying in there right now. It is from the 1920s. And then our main hall was built in 1935.
Wow. That's
neat.
really cool.
Yeah.
It makes you want to go there.
Day trip.
It would be fun.
Day trip.
I'm taking a Turpin.
We have like fancy cottages. They have air conditioning and heating and kitchens.
We actually tried to book Firkham during the pandemic.
Whoa.
But it got really complicated because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So in the end, we decided not to go. We just felt uncomfortable with being with people at that time, so it wasn't a good time. But one day,
yeah, one day.
So we've got up to the point now where you have done guides. We've got the family connection to Firkham.
Yeah.
Where did horseback riding come from?
Horseback riding. Okay, so my best friend, her name is Sarah.
Sarah and Sarah.
Yep, Sarah and Sarah. It's been great. There were 5 Sarahs in my elementary school, in my grade. So, yeah. So I was best friends with her, and she's been doing horseback riding since she was I want to say 4 or 5. I'm not sure why. Her parents aren't they don't ride horses or know anything about horses. So, and then I started that, and I picked that up really fast after going to one of her birthday parties at the stables. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. I like horses. And then my grandparents signed me up for lessons during the school year.
Do you still ride horses?
Unfortunately not. I've spent some time volunteering at the stables that I was at. I was at Pony Pal's therapeutic riding stables. In between I want to say the 4th and 6th grade. It was subsidized because it counts as a therapeutic stables. Mm-hmm. So that was really nice.
But you did it in high school as well.
Yeah.
I remember up through grade 9, you couldn't come to theater company some days because you'd have to go to horseback riding, and you would have these incredibly fancy trousers.
Yeah, I love those trousers. They're great because they're extra padded for the saddle and by the knees as well, so that you don't chafe. And it would be just straight from school to the stables pretty much up until grade 9.
If I wanted to, if I saw a horse and I wanted to ride that horse,
you have to get consent first. You have to say, excuse me, horse, can I ride you?
How do you get consent from a horse? They don't, you could talk to a horse calmly, and I guess you could do that. But is it like in Zelda where you go up to and pet it and then, and then it's yours? That's what happens in Zelda.
They make that noise. They go,
yeah. You go, and then it's yours, and then you get to name it and put it in a stable.
It's kind of.
How does it work?
It's kind of like that. Since they're
It is like that. Really?
Since they're lesson horses, they're really good with kiddos. Oops.
First of all, you can't just approach any horse.
No, you can't just run up to a horse.
Because they'll probably kick you in the face, right?
Well, these horses have been decently desensitized. They're trained from a young age for this purpose.
Okay.
So that means having...
Is that what breaking a horse is? That means training it?
Yeah. So breaking in a horse means desensitizing it and training it. So desensitizing it means just horses are scared of a lot of things. They're mostly scared of their own shadow.
Really?
Plastic bags. They're
okay.
They're the scariest thing on earth to horses. So there's a lot of things that you really have to train your horse for. And people.
Okay.
People not so much. They're kind of like big dogs that just don't know much about what anything is.
Okay. So I give you a new horse. What do you know what to do with it?
Not really.
Okay.
No.
So the horses that you've ridden are already
they're lesson
broken
horses.
and
yeah.
Okay. And so,
So
they're used to you approaching it,
Yes.
and then how do you get on top of it?
So first we gotta like brush down the horse. get
You
it
have
ready.
to brush it down.
Yeah, we have to.
Is that part of the like?
It's part of like the steps. Yeah.
That's part of the calming process.
It is. It's part of it at the beginning of the lesson. It's like very like you must do this. So then you have to like go and brush your horse, clean it up.
Have you guys not played Zelda?
No, I've never.
You have the game.
Yeah. And
what is wrong with you? That's like the best game ever made.
I didn't get very far into it because I told you, and I think.
Oh, you didn't get a horse yet?
I haven't got a horse yet. Oh. No, I didn't get very far into it because I found myself in this place where it was really cold, and then I built this fire.
Oh yeah,
and then
that place is really hard.
Yeah, and then if I walk away from the fire, I freeze, and I'm too far away to get to anywhere, so I don't know what to do anymore. I'm stuck.
That's when you go to YouTube and find out.
No, that's when I switch to Mario Odyssey and just play that again.
Okay. Anyways, what were we talking about?
Horses.
Yeah,
And
so
then
you calm it down.
Yeah, you calm it down.
By brushing it.
Yeah, then you saddle the horse. I rode with English tack. That doesn't mean much, but that just means that it doesn't have like the horn at the front, and the stirrups are placed much higher than Western.
Why?
Just because of jumping and like the fancy trotting and stuff. You know that video where Snoop Dogg's like, "Oh, the horse is crib walking," and
yes, yeah, like Animal Planet with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was in the Olympics.
I remember Animal Planet.
I love those.
When the lizards are trying to run.
Funny.
Look at that. He's dead.
They're so funny.
No, he's so dead.
Oh, Snoop Dogg, he's a delight. He's become such a
cultural icon.
Cool guy.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what I do. It's like the fancy trotting and the little jumps and stuff like that.
You don't do big jumps?
I don't do big jumps.
You don't race?
I don't race. I did competition for a little bit when I was really young. It was just like very basic. I know how to do a fancy trot.
Okay, so you mount it by putting one foot on.
You put the foot on the stirrup that is going in that stirrup, and then you gotta like use the saddle and make sure you're able to hold the mane of the horse as you're going up.
Really? They don't care?
They don't care. They're very strong animals. And, well, I was small enough as well that I don't think they cared much.
Okay.
They're very strong animals, so they don't actually feel much because they're so big.
Okay.
So you're able to grab their mane and then grab the saddle, but mostly the saddle, and have your reins in one hand and then just kind of kick your leg back over.
Okay.
So.
Have you never ridden a horse?
No. I maybe have ridden a pony at Stanley Park when they had that. That was a long time ago.
You get mad at me for having never been camping, but you've never ridden a horse.
Have you ridden a horse?
Of course I have.
Like trail riding and stuff?
Scottsdale, Arizona.
Really?
That's a very Arizona thing.
Yeah.
We almost did it we almost did it in Arizona as well at the Grand Canyon. But it got canceled because of rain.
My family, we used to go down to Scottsdale all the time. My parents had a vacation home there.
You did this all the time?
Not all the time, but one of our trips down there, we took horse riding lessons.
That's cool. I would love to.
Yeah.
I would love to.
Yeah.
And you can go horseback riding around Burnaby Lake.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a stable right there. You can rent the horse for the afternoon. And
it's probably cleaner than the lake.
Yeah, I wouldn't go swimming in that.
No.
Or sorry, that's Deer Lake is the one that's really gross.
Well, both of them.
Both of them are gross?
Yeah.
Okay. Never been
Not
on
quite as gross
Lake.
as the slough, but you know.
Well, we fell into the slough and we're okay.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
That's kind of really funny.
It's really handy having a third hand for typing.
That's not how it works. Genetic mutations, by the way.
Wow.
So you've been a girl guide. You've ridden horseback. You work at Camp Firkham.
Yeah.
Wait, in terms of camping skills, how did you learn to build a fire, pitch a tent, all those things that campers need to know how to do?
It all comes from Firkham. My first summer volunteering was the summer after grade 9. I was like half getting paid, half not getting paid, depending on what I was doing. That's where I learned a lot of my camping skills.
So they trained you, or did you just watch
I just
people?
kind of picked it up by watching people and going out with people.
Okay. So I mean, at the campgrounds, they probably have everything set up like a fire pit, right?
Yeah, at the
Stuff like
at the
that.
one campground we do use, which is Halkett Bay.
Mhm.
There's a fire pit. There's a bunch of they're building tent stands now, which is really nice since they're not repairing the dock after sea lion crushed it. They're making tent like I forget what they're called, like just tent stands, so that your tent is not on the ground; it's on like a wooden stand.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because more people are going to be camping there. Well, less and more.
Oh, is it because it's
a public
more
campground.
even?
It's more even.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure why they're doing that, but
So it's a
it'll be
wooden
nice.
platform
Yeah.
to put your tent on.
Yeah.
Okay. Then how do you like put the stake in the ground?
I've never really thought about that. That's a good point. They might have like little hooks and stuff.
I guess it's
I kind
different.
of hope so.
See, that already sounds more reasonable to me. A wooden platform.
Okay, you'll do it if there's a platform.
Oh, no. I didn't go that far. I said it just sounds
I
more
bring an
reasonable.
air mattress. You
Yeah.
don't- Yeah. So regardless of whether the ground is even or if there's rocks or whatever, the air mattress takes care
The
of
amount of times I've slept on air mattresses, like in my basement when I was in high school growing up and stuff, and college and university, you have an interesting Friday night and you end up on the air mattress. The amount of times that I have slept on an air mattress and woken up on a flat floor. What am I doing to air mattresses? I don't think they're rated for a Turpin. They don't have an air mattress that can hold my
You can
body
double
mass.
up. Double up.
I don't know.
Two air mattresses.
Yeah.
Well, I've had a double height one before.
Well, that's not like double the air pockets.
No, I know. I've killed so many air mattresses.
So what is your technique for setting a fire? I'm
My-
just curious.
The log cabin is what I like to call it.
Yes.
So there's first you put down your kindling and you put down your I usually use egg cartons.
What do you
or
grab
lint.
for kindling?
Just little sticks, little twigs,
Mm-hmm.
anything dry. If there's a dead tree around,
Yeah.
we're running at that dead tree. It'll all be used, and then you put 2 logs down, and then 2 logs like on top of it, going the other way, and keep doing that until
Like
it's like
Lincoln logs.
yeah, till it's like a good height, and then
Yeah, punch that mic.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I was just trying to get the folks in the
Quiet down,
library to quiet
people.
down.
Yeah. By punching the mic. So you lay down your Lincoln logs and then you set the fire and then you lay more stuff, bigger logs on top of that, and then there you
Yeah.
go.
yeah.
Cool.
Have you ever been on, have you ever thought about like being on Survivor?
I have. I don't think I have that level of skill. I'm not very like physically adequate to do that, or I don't think I have the knowledge quite yet.
I don't know. It sounds like you're pretty
do all of
close.
that.
I would hate.
Kind
I would hate the drama and mind games, and
Yeah.
I don't like that stuff.
I don't think I would enjoy like a lot of like the games where you go up in front of everybody and you're representing a team.
That might be. That would be fun. I just don't like the people talking behind each other's backs and.
Oh, it's
Messing
definitely a social deduction game, is what
It
it
is.
is.
Yeah.
But that's the game. Yeah. So, what else can we talk about? You're into photography.
I do.
You did
I
for your innovation project. You had this board with a whole bunch of photos on it.
Yeah.
What got you into that kind of thing?
I'm actually not entirely sure what brought me into like photography in the first place, especially in that year. It was just a lot of wanting to capturing what I see. I've always kind of wanted to do that, and I've always really had a passion for showing others what I see. Like again, I'll keep
That's really
reiterating
cool.
that, but it's my art. I'm not really a drawer or painter. So photography it is.
Did you take photography class?
I did. I took it in
Yeah.
grade 11. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it overall. I missed the first 2 weeks of the class, which definitely like bumped down my workflow up until the end. But yeah.
Because you transferred.
No, the first 2 weeks I was doing my OFA 3. So I have
that?
my occupational first aid level 3.
Oh,
It
okay.
used to be industrial first aid.
Uh-huh.
So I am able to be the first aid attendant if we are over 2 hours from emergency care services. So
So how do you? I mean, I like to take photos. I take photos a lot, but just with my phone. I mean, I used to travel with a dedicated camera, and that has its advantages because you have a dedicated battery, because you use your phone for other stuff and it runs out really quickly.
Yeah.
But I found that nowadays it's good enough for me. Like, I can't imagine. My dad used to carry like a huge camera because he was really into it, but I can't imagine, like, for me, bringing around a large camera to capture photos. Is that what you do on trips?
I don't really do that as much anymore. I used to do that a lot. I brought my DCLR to France with us this spring break. I only used it at like the major sites. I didn't dare bringing it into Paris.
You got some nice photos.
Yeah. I'm really quite happy with a lot of them. Though a lot of them came off my phone. I just recently bought a new phone, and I've been noticing that I'm using my camera much less because I'm able to take, if not like the same photos with both. Right. Though definitely better with my big camera, but
because it's come to a point where phone cameras are almost on par with like your regular point and shoot cameras.
They definitely are. If you're not going to be going into editing too much with the photo, if you're not using it for like digital marketing or like official purposes, it's definitely, it kind of outweighs my camera in that I just hold up my phone and take the photo and then it's done, rather than holding up my camera, looking at the lighting, taking a test photo, taking another photo.
Right. It kind of seems like the days of the point and shoot, like, for lack of a better term, a lay person's camera, are gone now that the cameras on phones are so good. Of course, a professional photographer would want all the bells and whistles of an SLR, which there will always be a market for that, I imagine. But the point and shoots.
Are you? Because I know you like to take everything in RAW, and then do post-processing in Lightroom or Photoshop. Yeah. Is that what you do on a phone as well?
No. So I don't do that really at all with my phone. If I will, it's very minimal. It's on Google Photos, and I'll just kind of bounce around the light a little bit if I need to. Though that's about it. With the DSLRs and shooting RAW, I'm able to do much more, and that includes, like, if I want to get rid of something in the photo, I have like the hand skills to do that rather than letting AI do that. So it's just a matter of depending on what it is. Yeah.
So all the post-processing stuff, how did you develop those skills?
I just kind of went for it.
Yeah.
I started on the school computers here for my IDS in grade 10 and went from there. I started with Photoshop, and then I learned Photoshop pretty quickly. I'm pretty proud of myself for that, actually. I learned all the shortcuts and whatnot, and that carries to all of the Adobe products. So now what I've been using is called Camera Raw, and it's connected to a Bridge, the sorter for Adobe. Yeah.
There's this question that people pose nowadays, which is, what is a photo? Because a lot of phone cameras do heavy processing, and with the advent of AI technology used in photos, nowadays you could rub out somebody from a photo, you can change the background, you can do all sorts of things, and even the default settings for phones, they do a ton of processing to make it look what regular people, I don't know what regular people means, but they've done some research on it, like what most people would think is a beautiful photo.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
That's something that I've definitely been tackling with my new phone. I have the new Pixel, and it's like a lot of it is AI, quite unfortunately. And I'm trying to find any way around it I can. I don't believe in using it myself. I find it very much harder to show others what I see if there's an AI engine trying to do it for me. So I don't know what to think about AI going
What you
forward.
want to capture is what you see with your eyes in front of you as much as possible.
Yeah, rather than like, oh, this is the object. I want to get, the lighting, the people, if people are looking certain ways, or the different objects around it.
Right, because I heard about this question, what is a photo? And I thought that's kind of interesting, because you could change. Photographers will take a shot. They can change the shot. They can change the mood of a shot. They can change the shadows and make it look more menacing or happier. Yeah. You can do a lot of things with things that you capture around you, which is a kind of interesting question, because when you look at a photo, are you actually seeing what they're seeing, or does it matter? Or is it more, because photographers are artists, right? So maybe they want you to see a certain thing.
Mm-hmm.
And with the AI brought to like the frontal part of the phone where you can't really remove it at all. It's just part of the processing of the image.
Mm-hmm.
It takes away that kind of creative liberty that comes with editing the photo.
Mm-hmm.
And that really is also questioning us like, oh, is this your photo? Because it's truly not. It's truly not what you see unless you're able to edit it further afterwards.
Yeah. And I guess the icky part for me is that somebody in this tech company has decided that this is what you want to see, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to this is perfectly captured and what the light that the lens captured at that time.
Yeah, definitely. I feel that as well. Though,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
What do you think about that, Turpin?
Well, I kind of feel the same way that Sarah does. Like, it doesn't really feel like it's your photo anymore. So, I mean, I'm not a photographer in the way that like artistic photographers are photographers, but like when I travel, I want to document my journey, and I want to take photographs of things that I'm seeing the way that I'm seeing them, so that I have a remembrance of where I've been and what my perspective was. So I don't necessarily like all the bells and whistles of AI. I want to see what I see, and I want it to look like it did when I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are a few like the things that I like to play with, and that when I do play with it, I like to play with the exposure. I like to play with the focus. But other things like filters and things, I don't use Snapchat or TikTok or anything like that. I'm not into that. So all these like, I put this filter on, it doesn't interest me.
Mm-hmm.
I want photos.
I guess a lot of people also take photos to show other people how good the photo is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
I definitely do that sometimes.
So when you're doing that, I guess it's nice that the AI or the processing of your phone, the algorithms that are involved with that, actually convert it to the point where they think, okay, most people will like this.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely does help. My phone photos are very easy to share because it's just like boop, boop, and I hit a button and it's done.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas on my DSLR, I will take more time than if I'm trying to make it for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you're multifaceted, you know, and one of the things that I've always admired about you as a student is that you have this insatiable curiosity. From, you know, when we had you, well, gosh, now I think about grade 8, you were really interested in theater and you got involved. You did that TDM thing that we did, which we don't talk much about. Then
It's funny, Sarah mentioned this before and she said she doesn't want to talk about it. I thought it was, I mean,
it was what it was.
It was the best you could do at the time. It was weird.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah, it was very weird.
You're talking about the one where, like, I saw the video.
Yeah.
It was a video, right?
Yeah, it was a video.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
And people were all masked up in the video, which captures that time.
It totally does.
Right? Speaking of capturing things using photos, it captures that moment perfectly. Right.
Then we had you in Innovation 10.
Yeah.
And I got to meet you, you know, from an academic standpoint, but you've always been very artistic, and we've had you in musicals and things like that. You've got this Camp Furcum that has taken over a part of your life. You've done horseback riding. You have an interest in photography. You came on the Europe trip and experienced all of that.
Yeah.
What does a Sarah Edgington become when she grows up? Like what is the path looking like after high school?
This is a scary question. I've really been questioning myself on this. I know I want to go into environmental studies in some capacity, whether or not that be, I'd love to be like a middle school science teacher. Miss Thomas's job. Mm-hmm. Love to do that. Love to do that with like art projects and everything. I feel like that would be a lot of fun.
What does September look like for you?
September, I'm going to Douglas to retake my chemistry. In Chem 11, did not do well. I didn't put the time into it that I should have, and I acknowledged that then, and I acknowledge that now.
Is that for environmental sciences?
Yeah, it's also just to have chemistry.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm hoping to get an English, like a first year English credit, and maybe a language or calculus. So, not sure yet.
But you think the goal is to go into education?
Yeah, the goal is to eventually end up in education. I would love to work at an outdoor school, as kind of cheesy as they are, as much of like they're more so in private institutions, which makes them a little bit icky.
Well, there are some public schools that have outdoor programs, right?
So that
she's talking about an outdoor school. Do you know any outdoor
there's like
schools?
There's the one on Bowen. It's the Bowen Island.
Yes.
Island Pacific.
Yes.
School. That's really fancy.
It's through the West Van School Board, if I'm not mistaken.
So kids just live there?
Yeah, but you have to pay tuition to go to that middle school.
Then maybe I'm incorrect. I know.
Well, there's also their community school.
Okay, so that's what I'm thinking of. Yes.
Yeah.
So it is like a private school, but it's on Bowen Island, and you have to pay a tuition, and it's outdoor ed.
Yeah, it's outdoor ed, most of it.
Okay.
So it's a lot of hands-on learning.
So like students go there
Yeah.
and then go home, or do they camp?
They go there and then go home. They often go on camping trips. We host them at Firkham twice a year every year. They kayak over from Bowen with all their stuff, and it's really cool to watch them all come up with all their gear. And they're like these super strong outdoor kids. And I'm like, I want to lead that. That looks like so much fun. So I would love to do that in like an educational or even alternative setting. I want to learn about different ways that people learn, because I've always been I can learn by the textbook, especially in like math and science. If I read the textbook, I get it. So I want to learn different ways for people to get it than that. I just want to learn a lot of what I can. I've been debating a lot of different things about what I want to do. For a while there, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a paramedic for a little bit. And I'm like, no, that's too high pressure. Though I'm also thinking of going into forestry, but more so like the surveying part where you go out into the bush and then count fish or like count plants. Yeah. There's a friend of mine, she works in a lab at the University of Calgary, and she gets soil samples and she looks at all the different like the bugs and stuff in them. And I'd want to do that with plants from restored wetlands.
Sounds like you got a wide variety of interests and passions and career paths. And a commitment to leaving the world in a better place than you found it, which I think is admirable.
Yeah. I like the outdoors, so I thought, why not?
That's beautiful.
That's very nice. Why is it a scary question for you?
Because I keep going back and forth to it. I want like this sense of, in air quotes, like, I was going to say sustainability, but like sustainability to self. I want to be able to support myself. A supportive job. Like a job where I don't have to worry too much about.
You want to be comfortable.
I want to be comfortable.
Yeah, of course.
And that's something that's definitely hard. And I want something that'll keep me on the coast. So those two things, very hard to mesh together.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's always the balance between making money, because you need money to survive, and interest.
Yeah, definitely. I've also looked at going into like nautical sciences, becoming boat captain of like the bigger boats. I think that would be really cool, but it's just, I don't think it's for me to be out on the sea. That rhymes. But I'm going, after Douglas, I'm going to BCIT to get my bridge watch rating. So
what's that?
It is a 4-month program, and it gets me my like larger vessel deckhanding. So it gets me my radio comms, my chart work, my what else? Like my safety and the first aid and all that, and it's all together, and it's great. It works. Yeah.
You've been doing first aid for quite some time. How did you end up doing that?
I get paid now at work because paid more now at work because I have my OFA 3. I'm one of the first aid attendants on site. So that's kind of the first thing that brought me to it. And OFA 3 is what the others at Firkham also like have. Not everybody needs it. There's
so it started there, but
yeah.
I mean, you've also done it at school. Have you, were you part of that have you been part of that for a while, the first aid group here?
No, I haven't actually. I joined last year, and I want to say February, right after I got the course. So it's really been kind of like a short-term thing. It's like up and go with it, and I don't think I'm going to come back to it. I get really easily stressed out but I still feel confident enough in my ability. Just afterwards, after the fact, I'm like, So
this is why you don't want to become a paramedic.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's life and death.
Yeah.
In terrible situations sometimes.
Yeah, and the mental toll would it wouldn't check. It wouldn't work with me.
So what kind of things do you do outside of the things that you talked about for, like, what do you do for fun or to relax?
Right now, having fun and relaxing is very hard to come by. We're at a very, very busy point in the semester.
Yes.
I'm really enjoying crocheting when I can. I make doilies, which is just miniature crocheting. It's quite fun, especially trying to hunt down patterns for them. I'm learning the banjo right now, slowly but surely. I have to keep coming back to it. I'm also I know enough on the guitar that I'm like proficient, but I haven't picked it up in a while. And I'm really looking at potentially taking music lessons of some sorts. But there's only one banjo teacher I have found in the Lower Mainland within my hunting, so it's going to be quite a challenge.
These are perfect camping instruments as well, right? Especially the banjo and, deliverance and all that.
I just...
Yeah, Sarah just sitting on the porch.
Oh yeah, that's going to be me all summer.
Scaring all the tourists away.
That's the goal.
Nope, we're not doing this whitewater rafting trip. We're staying away.
Yeah. I just like the sound of it. I heard it one day. There was a choir camp that came up, and one of the ladies, she was from Virginia. She brought up a banjo with her and sang old folk songs about like the different parks in the area and all these murder stories. And I was like, oh yeah, I gotta learn how to do that. So a lot of it is stories.
It is really cool. It's a very heavy instrument. I remember when I picked it up for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh.
You don't realize how heavy they are. It's not...
Is it mostly metal?
It is. So I don't have a little one like Kermit the Frog. He has one without a back on it. And I have one with a backing. So it really is quite heavy. Though I don't know what it's called.
Do you own a banjo now?
I don't own one yet.
No,
I'm still Craigslisting.
Okay.
But I've been periodically taking it out from the Vancouver library.
That's right. I remember you taking it out of the library. Yeah.
That's a great program. You can get all sorts of instruments from VPL.
It really is. I first considered getting a mandolin because it comes from like the very similar style of music. It's a lot easier to find resources for it, though it's just... The banjo looks cooler, in my opinion.
That's interesting. I would have thought that banjo would have been easier to get resources for than a mandolin. But
no, it's kind of strange the way music is written in that a mandolin is very similar to a guitar, whereas a banjo has its own...
tuning.
Yeah, it has its own tuning, and it has its own... it's the same. A lot of it is the same picking patterns.
Yeah.
Though you have that fifth string, so it's... the sixth... No, we have five. So you have four main strings and then a fifth top one that you go bim bim noom, and then like you hit that at every bar.
Do you just use your fingers, or do you put stuff on your There's those picks that you put on your fingers, right?
I use my fingers right now because I got my nails done.
Nails, yeah.
And I'm used to using my fingers as well because I'm not playing loudly. I don't think my grandparents would really appreciate it.
Right.
Though I do have finger picks. It would go on your middle, your pointer, and your thumb.
Oh, just three?
Yeah, just three. You can wear it on your ring as well, depending on what you're doing. But usually the style in which you would have picks is only three fingers.
There are also, if I'm not mistaken, 6-string banjos that are tuned the same way that a guitar is. And what that does is it's kind of, I don't want to call it gateway drug. That's not the right term. But,
it is.
But you basically, if you
can
already
switch, transfer your skills.
If you already know how to play the guitar, but you want the sound of a banjo,
it's exactly that.
You can pick that up. Yeah. And I've known a lot of guitarists that are like, that will play, say, like in a pit orchestra for a musical, and the musical will call for a banjo. And they're like, oh, I don't know how to play the banjo, but I can play this, and it will give you the same sound. And it's not exactly the same. There's, of course, a little differences, but it's close.
Yeah. It makes enough sense that it works.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those for sale. I've been scrolling through Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace pretty aggressively the last few months. I'm looking over for next time I go on to the Vancouver Island. I'm hoping to buy a banjo because there's a lot for sale over there.
How much do they cost?
So usually a secondhand banjo is in the $800 to $900 range.
Wow.
Yeah, for like not an Amazon banjo.
Yeah.
Because I want something that I can keep and hold on to for a while.
Yeah, of
if I'm
course.
going to buy something like that, I'm
There's a
going
lot
to
of
commit.
expensive parts on it.
There are, yeah.
There's a lot of metal.
Yeah.
There's probably really dense wood.
Yeah.
For the
And then the skin, it's like the skin of a drum almost.
Yeah, at the front of the banjo.
It's quite complex.
Yeah. I do like playing it a lot more than a guitar because the strings on it are much lighter to press on, like when
On the
you're playing
frets, yeah.
chords on the frets. It's much easier, I find. I'm able to press them with my pinky. So
What about a lute? You ever played a lute?
a lute. Oh, it's like a
medieval guitar.
it's like the little one with 4 strings and it's
It's what you
shaped like
go
a pear.
LARPing with.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of that, I saw a guy yesterday. Kung and I have been talking about the Renaissance Fair, which I don't think exists anymore. But I saw a guy yesterday when I was driving home from Delview, and he looks like he could be at the Renaissance Fair. It was really impressive.
I heard that.
He was dressed that way?
Yeah, he was just walking down.
He didn't have a
116th.
lute.
Didn't have a lute, no, but he had like a really big hat and like pantaloons and like
Wow.
it was impressive. I'm like, where's that guy going? I want to follow him. He's probably going to find some mead.
Yeah, he's looking for mead for sure.
Definitely looking for mead.
You almost should have followed him.
I had to go home.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these things happen.
Yeah. I've thought about LARPing.
Really?
Looks like so much fun.
This is the second
Holy
podcast
cow.
we've talked about LARPing.
Really?
I didn't talk about LARPing with anybody.
I think we talked about it with Addie. Yeah.
Oh, I've heard maybe that checks for Addie. I'm pretty sure she wants to go LARPing at
Yes.
some point. She would enjoy that.
So the two of you will go LARPing.
Yeah.
The LARPing you
LARPing with
will go.
lutes, looking for mead.
Yeah.
LARPing for lutes, looking for mead. That sounds like an album title for like a really awesome Renaissance themed band.
There's a pirate one. There's a pirate themed one that goes out of Germany and it's English. So I'm really looking at that.
English pirates out of Germany.
Yeah. It's really funny.
So they speak English with German accents. Obviously.
Yeah.
Yar.
That's kind of cool.
And it's tall ships and all that. So you learn how to
cool.
sail the tall ship at the same
They
time.
have actual that's
Yeah.
they're LARPing with actual tall ships.
Yeah.
So they're LARPing on the ship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like you go out on the water for like a week.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know if I would do that.
I would love that. Oh,
That's a step more complicated than camping.
No, see, I'd rather do that than go camping.
You would.
I would rather go on a tall ship for a week.
There's no
Yeah,
way out
wow.
of it because you're on a ship.
That's fine.
You realize that?
Yeah.
For a week.
Only once.
In like
just
a
for
tiny
the-
bed.
Just for the experience.
Do you
Wow.
get motion sickness?
Not particularly.
Do you know? Have you been on a ship?
I've never been on I've
small ship.
been on a cruise ship.
That's a big ship.
I've never
Those
been
don't move.
I've never been like open ocean in a small craft.
You have nowhere to go.
I feel like you should try like pleasure boating first. Like go rent a boat. at
Actually, yeah,
schools.
you know what, you're probably right.
I think you should try camping first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Camping is very similar.
You
Kind
know
of
what
concept.
I could do though?
Except you can go home.
Yeah.
You know what I could do instead of camping? Is I could save my money and go somewhere else and stay in a hotel.
Wow.
Like go back to France and Belgium.
It's a different
Okay,
experience.
that's a fair point.
Yeah.
If I go back, I know I'll definitely be like hosteling through Europe.
You're
And
young. You're young enough to do that.
Yeah, I'd have to bring somebody else with me. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
I don't want to hostel through Europe.
What were some of the highlights of that trip? First of all, for the listener, where did you guys go?
So we went to France and Belgium to study Canada's involvement in World War One.
With
Yeah.
Mr. Turpin.
With Mr. Turpin and Mrs. Hughes, and there were 14 students and then our tour guide. So there were 17 of us in total. It was a nice and small group, and we spent 8 days there, 2 of which were traveling because it
Buses
takes a
and
while.
trains.
No,
Plane-
planes.
No, planes.
10 hours of flight one way, so 20 hours on a flight, right?
Yeah.
And then the busing and stuff, and it was fabulous. God, I would do that again in a heartbeat. And I've unapologetically said on several occasions that I'm having a hard time letting it go. I talked to my brother a lot. My brother's been to Europe on 2 different choir tours, and I said to him, "At what point in time do you let the trip go?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, I can't let it go." And
How do you mean?
it doesn't escape my mind. It doesn't go, I can't go very long without thinking about it. And my brother's like, well, your tour was very different than the tours that I've been on. My brother's been to Europe, like I said, twice, and he goes on choir tours. And he's like, I don't really have a huge attachment to the cathedrals that we visited. He's like, but you had a really and meaningful experience. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. My mind doesn't often go to Paris. Paris was beautiful, and I would go back in a heartbeat.
This is your first time out of North America.
Yes.
Yeah.
But for me, my mind goes back to the battlefields.
And it
the
was your
cemeteries.
first time too, right? Sarah?
Yeah. I've never been even like to the States. So,
Oh.
well, I have. We went once for dinner in Blaine.
Okay,
And
that
it was
doesn't count.
it was sketchy white rock. Yeah.
That doesn't really count.
No.
Doesn't count. I
So
could see
this
the
is
pier.
this was your first time outside of Canada,
Yeah.
pretty much.
First time outside of Canada. I had to get a passport for this trip. That was hard. It actually didn't take that long. It only took about like 4 weeks after we got all of our documents together to apply. So
What were your first impressions when you landed in Europe?
Charles de Gaulle Airport looks like it's straight out of like
The Cold War.
Yeah, the Cold War. There's no other way to describe it. And it's just so gross in there. But
I avoid that airport.
yeah.
So if I fly anywhere in Europe, if we fly into France, we'll land somewhere else in a different city. We avoid it.
I mean, I didn't think it was all that bad, and it's divided up into multiple terminals. So,
We've had really bad experiences.
so I feel like the terminal that we were at, where we
It was pretty okay.
landed and departed from, it wasn't terrible.
Charles de Gaulle, you suck. So many bad experiences. Unfriendly people. Weird schedules.
Yeah. There was a lot more English than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I was really surprised to see that. The first day we walked around Paris, and I was just pretty well shocked at how many people and how big Paris was. I've never thought of a city really being bigger than Vancouver. Because I'm like, Vancouver is such a big city, right?
I think they anglified it a lot after the Olympics because it didn't used to be like that. So there were a lot more people. Even when I went the summer of the Olympics, and there were a lot more people speaking English and that sort of thing. It was to boost tourism.
Yeah.
I mean, to say I was surprised would be not 100% true. There was a lot of English in northern France and Belgium as well. And I think a lot of that is due to the fact that there was so much contribution from the Commonwealth during times of war and conflict, and the liberation of France and Belgium in both the First and Second World Wars was so significant that you have a lot of transplants. Like there's a lot of British people that live in those areas, that live in those villages. And of course, English isn't the official language, but English is very, very commonly spoken in a lot of different people. You'd have to give them a little parlez-vous anglais, and oh yes, I speak English, and then it happens. But yeah, it was nice. And as soon as we identified ourselves as Canadians,
that changed their perspective a lot.
Made a huge difference.
What did you say?
When we were identified as Canadians, it definitely changed their attitudes before us. They were like towards us, they were much more friendly, much more welcoming.
Yeah, like we would approach people and they would kind of like, I wouldn't say scowl, but like didn't have exactly like a welcoming or inviting face. And then when you tell them you're from Canada, all of a sudden, oh, Canadians. And almost as if like to say not something else, you know?
Yeah.
I had the same experience when we went to Caen, Caen.
Caen.
Yeah. And we stayed there for a couple nights. And when we got there, the person at the hotel, they asked, "Where are you from?" We said, "Canada." No, their demeanor completely changed. And then we noticed going around that there were memorials to Canadian soldiers and there were maple leaves everywhere. It was kind of cool that, because of the contributions of Canada to freeing their country, that they were so, even now, so appreciative.
Yeah. And it's seeing like how appreciative they are of Canadians and like seeing all of the reminders of, oh, this is Canada, and kind of seeing that pride there. I'm still grappling with that. I work very closely with a lot of the Squamish youth, with a lot of the Squamish Nation youth, and like especially thinking about our Indigenous peoples. Canada has done so many wrongs that it's made it even more wrong than it already is, if that's possible, after seeing all that pride in France and kind of getting like that sense of nationalistic pride, like, oh, we did this good, but what were we doing back home? And it's, I don't know, I'm still trying to process those thoughts, and I haven't really been able to talk about it much.
There's so much to process. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's good and bad in anything and
course.
in anybody, right? So, yeah, it is hard to process. And you recently went to the Legion. Were you part of that group that
Yes.
went to the Legion?
Me, Addie, and Brighton, the three of us went to the Legion.
I haven't heard a follow-up, but like, how did that go? What were you presenting, first of all?
We just kind of went to talk about the trip. We just went to talk to them and be
Like a slideshow?
yeah,
Okay.
not really. We had a photo slideshow going up in the background. That was about it. But we got on stage and then talked, and we were like, "Oh, does anybody have any questions?" After we introduced ourselves and kind of the premise of the trip and what we did and why we went. And it was really interesting listening to a lot of the veterans talk about kind of their experience and or their appreciation and or if they've traveled to Europe before. And we learned quite a bit about different places to travel to in Europe surrounding the world wars while we were talking to them. So yeah.
And were you invited, or did you reach out to them?
I'm not entirely sure.
So Miss Hughes, who was one of our chaperones on the trip, is a member of the Legion.
Oh, okay.
And we reached out to the Legion to let them know that we were traveling.
Yeah. And that's why you had those hats.
Yes.
Okay.
And we reached out to the Legion like kind of just as a gesture of goodwill and support, but really what we wanted from them was a wreath. Because one of the stops that we made on our trip was to just outside of, well, not outside, the town of Ypres, or as the Belgians would pronounce it today, is Ypres. It's an old medieval cloth trade city, which still has ramparts and a moat. And during the First World War, a lot of the gates into the city were completely destroyed. So as they were rebuilding the medieval city, the Commonwealth War Graves Commission reestablished one of the gates along what is called the Menin Road. That has become the Menin Gate Memorial to the Missing. It's a beautiful gate to the city, and it is inscribed with the names of, I'm going to lose the number, but I believe over 50,000 names of the missing Commonwealth soldiers that fought along that Ypres salient. And since the late 1920s, a local nonprofit organization in the town of Ypres in Belgium has established what they call the Last Post Society. And every night at 8 p.m., buglers from the local fire brigade will come out and blast the last post in an amazing ceremony that
You watched it.
Not only did we watch, we participated. So if you let them know ahead of time you're coming, you can be part of the wreath laying ceremony. So
every night
at 8
Really?
p.m. Yeah. So we stood for the last post, and two of our students laid a wreath from the Delta Legion. And it was really, really meaningful. So when we contacted Legion to ask for a wreath and we told them what we were doing, they said that they would give us hats in exchange for some goodwill and send some teenagers down to the Legion to share with our veterans what you experienced.
I see. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a good exchange.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Well, I think we've come to the end here, and I want to thank you for coming in. Really wanted to talk to you for quite some time now.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk in class, but the podcast is always different because we can just sit here and have a conversation, which is really nice. And it looks like you're up to a lot of cool stuff, and
you still have a sibling here, so you're not going to be far.
Yeah, not going to be far. Got to visit.
And you're going to be doing some amazing things in the future, I'm very sure.
Yeah.
I'll definitely try.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on graduating.
Yep. Thanks.
And do keep in touch.
Absolutely.
Will do.
Thanks for coming, Sarah.
Thanks.
Okay, take care.